iRadio OUM roaming across your mind. Thank you so much for still keeping us company at iRadio OUM. And of course, as I've been mentioning since early in the morning, there's a special guest with us in the studios today. So let me welcome, and I'm most honored to be welcoming our former Prime Minister, Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Dr. Mahathir, to our temporary conti right here on iRadio OUM in the boardroom of Open University Malaysia. Tun, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I trust everything went well with the public lecture earlier?
Well, I hope so.
Okay, now without further ado, I would like to pass the mic, so to speak, to Prof. Zuraini, who will conduct the interview with Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun Dr.
Okay, thank you very much, Omi. Yang Amat Berbahagia Tun, welcome to OUM. And it's a pleasure to have you here with us this morning. We have a question for you. The first one is, based on research conducted by OUM recently, about 30% of our learners have a fear of the English language, or not confident about using the English language. Yet OUM is medium of instruction is in English, and as you said this morning, English is a language for the knowledge age, and knowing English is one way to empower ourselves and to help the nation grow from strength to strength. And it is not unpatriotic to use or to master English. My question is, to these 30% of the students who have doubts about the English language, what would be your advice to them?
Acquiring another language is as you acquire your own language. It comes through practice. If you don't use the language at all, then it becomes very difficult. One of the easiest way is to read storybooks, and there are lots of very interesting storybooks which you will pick up the language without really making any effort. But you have to persist. Initially, it is going to be difficult, but after some time you find that you can read faster and faster. So there is nothing to fear. It's as much, it's well, it's not as easy as learning your mother tongue, because you start very early. If you started with English at that time, you would also be able to master English.
Yes.
That's why some children are bilingual, where their parents speak to them in English as well as in the mother tongue. Then they acquire both languages.
Yes. And what about our students at this age? You know, some of them are in their 30s, maybe early 40s, and they're still worried, you know, about using the English language in the classrooms, for example.
That is true, but again, I would say that you have to read a lot. Read a lot of interesting things, entertaining things. Then, of course, you have to find literature that is in correct English. But eventually, you must master the language.
Yes. So your advice is they have to, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Tun. We have a question from a student, and she has an interesting question, I think. This is from Sharifah Suhana Said Agil. She is a student of OUM, currently working at Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So her question is, I'd like to know who was Tun's idol when you were growing up, and why did you look up to that person?
Well, I read a lot of history books, and in history books there were many heroes, people who succeeded in life, and I cannot say just one person. There are lots of people who are successful, who are very forceful in their ways and are able to do things. These are my idols, not just one, but several.
Okay, several. All right. I think a lot of people have you as their idol. Okay, there's another question from another student, Mazatul Sima binti Mat Raji. She's asking, how can Yang Amat Bahagia Tun remember everything at your age now? What is your recipe?
I don't remember everything, but I never trusted my memory. That is why I always carry a small book in which I would write the important things that I need to remember. Of course, then you can always remember having written it.
Yes.
The act of writing itself helps you to remember things. But of course, if you forget, you can always have a book to look at, your notebook to look at, so that you will remember some important appointments or events or responsibilities.
Okay. Yeah, she was asking, because she says she's a student and she has to remember many formula in accounting. All right. There's another question from another student, from Hugh, H-E-W-T-S, from a school. He says the number of academic staff with doctorates in philosophy or PhD will be increased to 18,000 by 2015 under the 10th Malaysia Plan, as stated by the current Prime Minister. To achieve the target, he said that implementation of the My Brain 15 program would be intensified to finance doctoral studies. What is Tun's opinion regarding the sudden surge in the number of PhD holders in IPTA and IPTS within a period of just 5 years?
Well, it is possible, of course, but a lot of effort has to go in towards, the candidates must be willing to study very hard, and they can achieve it. I believe that people have the potential to achieve that level of education, but they need to put in the effort.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the sudden surge? Do we have too many, you think, by then?
I don't think there are too many. You see, qualification for any particular job keeps on increasing. When I was a small boy, a person has to pass Standard 4 Malay school before becoming appointed clerk. Today, of course, if you pass Standard 4 Malay school or equivalent of Form 1 or Form 2, you get no jobs at all, because qualifications keep on increasing over time as the society gets better educated. Even to become a policeman now, you need to have better education than it was before.
All right. And in relation to this, we see a mushrooming of IPTAs and IPTS as well. And what do you think? Is that a good situation to have?
It is good if you oversee these institutions and ensure that the standards are maintained.
Yes.
But it can be very bad when they have some certificate meals, degree meals and all that, which issue certificates without really conducting proper examinations.
Yes, okay. And in relation to the mushrooming of IPTAs and IPTS, we have also, for example, open distance learning institutions. OUM is one, and then we have others coming, that has been established recently. And at the same time, the traditional universities are also establishing extension programs. And it's like everybody is out there to get the same small pool of people. And, is this unnecessary competition, or is this a healthy competition?
Well, if they can actually get the number of students, then it is a good thing. The fact is that if you are thinking in terms of returns on your investment, then of course it is bad, because then the market is small and there are far too many players.
Yes.
Then all of them will fail, in fact, to achieve a return on their investment. But having a lot of institutions is not bad, provided that they meet the needs of the people.
Yes, okay. How do you see open distance learning in the next 5 years or 10 years?
I think it is going to expand and increase, because lots of people suddenly remember that they need to have good education. It may be too late for them to go to the university. They are still working, and therefore an open university enables even those who do not have the leisure, the free time to go and study in a university. They too can have a university education.
Yes. Okay, and sometime, when we had the public lecture this morning, when you gave your lecture, there was a question on the digital divide, and some of the students or the potential students are actually out there in the jungle, in the boonies, and yet the infrastructure is not there for them to tap on to, the open distance learning, what you call this network. Do you think we will make inroads in this? That the digital, for example, the infrastructure, ICT infrastructure, will get out there fast, so that we can reach out to those learners who are still missing out.
But today, these cellular phones and other instruments that are available, and they are quite cheap, they can enable you to gain access to the courses. Maybe it's not very convenient to have a small telephone providing you with such a lot of information, but physically, technologically, it is possible. So if they may not have it now, but they can use whatever that they have, like their cellular phones, in order to access information.
Okay, so we should tap on mobile technologies.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This morning you also mentioned that you're now a blogger. Have you enjoyed that?
Yes. I think it has enabled me to explain many things that I feel people do not fully understand, and also to give my own opinion of things.
Yes. I think it's good that you've been on it, and according to Nielsen statistics, out of the 1.8 billion internet users, we have about, I think, almost 30% going into social media such as blogs. And I'm sure among college students it could be higher than that. Do you think this is a healthy activity, blogging and reading other people's blogs? Because blogs come in all kinds of shapes and sizes.
Like all things, they can be abused, they can be misused. I always give the example of a knife. Either you can use it to carve beautiful objects, or you can use it to kill people.